Listen to that sound, that piercing, relentless cry echoing through Chicago's most exclusive restaurant. That's not just any baby crying. That's Subin Park, 8 months old, who's been screaming for 40 straight minutes in the glass house, a place where silence costs more than most people make in a year. And at the head of the table, that's her father, Yi-jun Park. If you know Chicago's underworld, you know that name, head of the North Shore Korean Syndicate. The man who turned West Loop real estate into an empire. The kind of man who makes problems disappear with a phone call. But tonight, he can't make his daughter stop crying. Look at him. Tom Ford suit. Patek Philippe watch catching the candlelight. Face carved from ice. But his hands? They're shaking. Because 40 minutes ago, his daughter started crying, and nothing has worked. The nanny's bouncing her like she's following an instruction manual. The bodyguards are forming a human wall, trying to block the view of socialites who've stopped pretending to eat their $100 appetizers. One woman raises her phone to record. A guard steps forward. She puts it down. The cellist's bow is faltering. Even the quartet is breaking under the weight of that cry. And that's when she appears. Divine Walker, 27 years old, Bronzeville born and raised. She's pushing a cleaning cart past the kitchen, wearing a maintenance uniform that makes her invisible to everyone who matters in this room. But here's what you need to understand about Divine. She sees everything. She watches through the service door, watches the frozen nanny, the stone-faced guards, the man at the center of it all, holding power like a weapon but cradling his daughter like she might shatter in his hands. And then the baby's cry changes. Just slightly. A shift in pitch that everyone else misses. Divine's head tilts, because she knows that sound. That's not hunger, not discomfort. That's grief, wearing an infant's voice. The kitchen manager tries to stop her. Stay out of the private section. Those people don't like. But Divine's already through the door. Every head turns. The bodyguards move to intercept. She walks past them like they're furniture. Ma'am, you need to... She doesn't even look at them. Her eyes are locked on Yi-jun Park. That baby's not crying because she's hungry. The room goes silent, because no one interrupts Yi-jun Park. No one approaches without permission. This woman in a cleaning uniform just did both. She's crying because she's grieving, and you're holding her like she's a business deal. You could hear a pin drop. Even Subin pauses, hiccuping through her tears. Divine steps closer. She doesn't need a gold rattle or another stranger in a uniform bouncing her on schedule. She needs a mother's heartbeat. Yi-jun's voice comes out dangerously quiet. My wife is dead. I know, Divine says. So's mine. That's how I recognize what I'm hearing. The air crackles between them, recognition passing like electricity. Because in that moment, Yi-jun Park sees something in this woman's eyes that every trained professional, every expensive nanny, every expert consultant has lacked. Understanding. Of pain. Of loss. Of what it costs to keep breathing when your heart is buried 6 feet under Lake Forest soil. Let me hold her, Divine says. The bodyguard starts to protest. Yi-jun raises one finger. Silence. He looks at the nanny. Give her the baby. Divine takes Subin with the kind of confidence you can't buy or train. She adjusts the baby against her chest, and then she starts to hum. Not a lullaby. Not some nursery rhyme. A rhythm. Deep and steady. Like a heartbeat. Like the Southside gospel her grandmother used to sing in their Bronzeville kitchen. Like the pulse of a mother's love that doesn't ask permission or follow protocol. Subin's screams fade to whimpers. Her tiny fists unclench. Her flushed face relaxes against Divine's shoulder. And then, silence. The baby is asleep. Yi-jun Park stares at this woman who just walked into his world and did what no one else could do. The socialites are frozen mid-bite. The bodyguards don't know where to look. The nanny's face has gone white. Divine looks up at Yi-jun. She's exhausted. She's been fighting sleep because every time she closes her eyes, she's looking for someone who's never coming back. Yi-jun stands slowly. His voice is different now, stripped of its ice. What's your name? Divine. Divine. He says it like he's tasting the word, testing its weight. How much do they pay you here? 15 an hour. I'll give you 5,000 a week. Cash, plus housing, plus benefits. The room gasps. Divine doesn't even blink. For what? For doing that, every day. For my daughter. Divine looks down at Subin, sleeping peacefully for the first time in 40 minutes. Then back at Yi-jun Park, This man who moves millions, but couldn't move his daughter's pain. "I'm not one of your employees," she says. "I don't take orders. I don't disappear when it's convenient. And I sure as hell don't give up my apartment in Bronzeville to live in some North Shore mansion like a kept woman." Yi-jun's eyebrow raises, because no one talks to him like this. No one negotiates. No one sets terms. "So what do you want?" Divine adjusts Subin in her arms. "A contract. In writing. With my terms. And I keep my life outside of yours." For the first time all night, Yi-jun Park smiles. It's small, almost invisible, but it's there. Deal. And that's how it started. How a woman who cleaned floors walked into a world of power and blood and changed everything. How the invisible became indispensable. How a cleaner became the only person who could quiet the storm. But here's what Divine didn't know yet. In Yi-jun Park's world, being indispensable makes you valuable. And being valuable, that makes you a target. Before we see what Divine decides to do with this life-changing offer, I want to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. Are you in Chicago like our story? Somewhere else in the world? And if you're enjoying this story of the invisible cleaner who changed everything, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Divine walks into Yi-jun's world. Now, let's see if she takes the deal. 3 days later, Divine Walker stands at the gates of Yi-jun Park's Lake Forest estate, and she understands something critical. This isn't a home, it's a fortress. 12-foot iron gates, security cameras on every corner, guards patrolling the perimeter like soldiers, and beyond it all, a mansion that looks like it was carved from ice and money, perched on a bluff overlooking Lake Michigan. The lake stretches out gray and endless, cold as a gravestone. Divine's got a manila folder in her hand. Inside, the contract she demanded. $5,000 a week, full benefits, autonomy over Subin's care. And the clause Yi-jun tried to argue about. She keeps her apartment in Bronzeville, non-negotiable. The front door opens before she knocks. A housekeeper, older Korean woman, face like she's forgotten how to smile, gestures her inside without a word. And that's when Divine sees it. The house is massive. Cathedral ceilings, marble floors that echo every step, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake, Korean antiques in glass cases like museum exhibits. Everything polished, everything perfect, everything dead. There's no warmth here. No life. No photographs on the walls. No toys scattered on the floor. No evidence that a baby lives here at all. It's a mausoleum pretending to be a home. Yi-jun appears at the top of the staircase, still in a suit, even at home, still armored. He comes down the stairs like he's descending a throne. "You came." Divine doesn't move from the doorway. "I signed your contract. Doesn't mean I'm staying." His jaw tightens. "We had an agreement. We have an agreement for me to care for Subin. Didn't say anything about me living in a museum." They both hear it. Subin, wailing from somewhere deep in the house. Divine's eyes narrow. How long has she been crying? 20 minutes. The nanny is. Divine's already moving, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Yi-jun follows, something like surprise flickering across his face. Because people don't walk away from him mid-sentence. People don't move through his house like they own it. The nursery is on the 2nd floor, at the end of a long hallway. It's decorated like a Pinterest board, white furniture, designer mobile, organic cotton, everything. Beautiful, sterile, wrong. The nanny different from the restaurant. Younger is pacing with Subin, looking exhausted and terrified. Divine walks in and takes the baby without asking. The nanny looks at Yi-jun for permission. He nods. She practically runs from the room. Divine sits in the rocking chair, adjusts Subin against her chest, and starts that same rhythmic hum. Within 2 minutes, the crying stops. Silence. Just the creak of the rocking chair and Divine's steady breathing. Yi-jun stands in the doorway, watching. His face unreadable. "How do you do that?" Divine doesn't look up. "I listen. Your nannies follow schedules. Babies don't run on schedules. They run on need. I pay them to know what she needs. You pay them to be professionals. But Subin doesn't need a professional. She needs someone who sees her as a person, not a task." Yi-jun steps into the room. Closer. "You think I don't see her as a person?" Divine finally looks up. Her eyes are sharp. "I think you see her as something precious you're afraid of breaking. There's a difference." The air between them shifts. something honest and dangerous. Yi-jun moves to the window, looks out at the lake. My wife died 6 months ago. I know. They told you it was a car accident. Divine's voice is careful. They did. Do you believe that? Silence. Because Divine's not stupid. She saw the way the guards move, the way the house is locked down like a military installation, the way Yi-jun's eyes scan every room before he enters. Does it matter what I believe? Yi-jun turns. For the first time, the ice in his expression cracks. She was driving home from the city, our car, our route, and the brakes failed on a road she'd driven 1,000 times. Divine's arms tighten around Subin. You think someone... I know someone. His voice is cold steel. I just don't know who yet. And there it is. The truth underneath the marble and the money. This house isn't just cold because his wife is gone. It's cold because Yi-jun Park has turned it into a bunker, trying to protect his daughter from the same people who took his wife. Divine looks down at Subin, sleeping peacefully. Is that why you keep her locked up here? Why the nannies rotate every few weeks? Why there are no toys, no photos, no life in this house? It's why she's safe. No. Divine's voice is firm. It's why she's grieving. You can't protect her from death by making her live in a tomb. Yi-jun's eyes flash. You've been here 10 minutes and you think you understand. I understand that this baby needs more than security cameras and rotating strangers. Divine stands, still holding Subin. I lost my mother when I was 7. You know what I remember most? Not the funeral, not the crying. I remember the silence after, the way my grandmother tried to keep everything normal, by making everything nothing. No mess, no noise, no risk of more pain. She walks closer to Yi-jun. It didn't protect me. It just taught me that love meant loss, so why bother? Yi-jun's voice is barely above a whisper. What would you have me do? Let her live. Take her to the park. Let her crawl on floors that aren't bleached sterile. Let her see her father smile instead of standing guard. And if something happens, something already happened. Her mother died. You can't undo that by building a fortress. You can only make sure she knows she's alive. They stand there, 2 people, who've lost everything, holding a baby who's lost even more. The tension isn't romantic. Not yet. It's something rawer. 2 damaged people recognizing the same wounds in each other. Finally, Yi-jun speaks. The contract. You insisted on keeping your apartment. I'm here for Subin, not to disappear into your world. What if I need someone who won't disappear? Divine's eyes meet his. Then you need to learn the difference between keeping someone and earning them. Yi-jun almost smiles. Almost. You don't negotiate like a cleaner. I don't clean anymore. I told you that at the restaurant. What do? Divine looks down at Subin. I see what people miss. And right now, what you're missing is that keeping your daughter in a cage, even a gilded one, won't bring her mother back. It'll just make sure she never learns what it means to be loved without fear. Yi-jun's voice is different now. Quieter. Stay for dinner. I don't eat in museums. Then I'll have them serve it in the kitchen. Like a real house. Divine raises an eyebrow. You eat in your kitchen? No. But I will tonight. And that's how the negotiation really begins. Not with contracts or money, but with a man learning to live in his house instead of guarding it. With a woman refusing to be bought, only borrowed. With a baby who needs them both to be more than what they've been. Over the next week, they clash. Divine wants to take Subin to Millennium Park. Yi-jun insists on 3 security guards. Divine wants to put photos on the walls. Yi-jun says it makes them targets. Divine wants to play music. Yi-jun says noise compromises security awareness. Security first, he says. Life first, she fires back. But slowly, something shifts. Yi-jun watches how Divine holds Subin, not like something fragile, but like something strong. She doesn't flinch when the baby grabs her hair or spits up on her shirt. She laughs. She makes mistakes and doesn't apologize for being human. And Divine watches Yi-jun when he thinks no one's looking. The way he touches Subin's blanket like a prayer. The way he stands at her nursery door at 2 a.m., just watching her breathe. The way his hands shake when he holds her, not from fear, but from love so fierce it has nowhere to go. One evening, Divine finds him on the terrace, staring at the lake. She had a laugh, he says without turning. My wife, Jihei, she'd laugh at nothing, at everything. She made this house feel alive. Divine stands beside him, doesn't touch him, just stands. My mama sang, Divine says. Gospel, blues, anything. She'd sing while cooking, cleaning, just walking down the street. When she died, I didn't sing for 10 years. Thought her music died with her. When did you start again? When I realized her music wasn't hers, it was ours. She gave it to me. I just had to choose to keep it alive. Yi-jun looks at her. Is that what you're doing? With Subin? Divine meets his eyes. I'm helping her remember that life doesn't end when someone dies. It just changes shape. And in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. Not romance, not yet, but recognition, respect. Two people who've survived loss, learning they don't have to survive it alone. The negotiation isn't about money or contracts anymore. It's about whether a man made of ice can learn to thaw, and whether a woman who's learned to be invisible can step into the light. And somewhere in that Lake Forest mansion, Subin laughs for the first time since her mother died. Both of them hear it. Both of them stop breathing. And both of them start running toward that sound like it's the only thing in the world that matters. 2 weeks later, Divine finally wins an argument. They're at the Chicago Botanic Garden in Glencoe. 385 acres of carefully cultivated beauty. And Yi-jun agreed to bring Subin here. Progress. Except he also brought 4 bodyguards, 2 unmarked cars, and enough surveillance equipment to monitor a presidential visit. Divine pushes Subin's stroller along the path, the baby gurgling at the Japanese garden's koi pond. It's a perfect April afternoon, one of those rare Chicago days where winter finally loosens its grip and the world remembers what warmth feels like. Yi-jun walks beside her, scanning the crowd, always scanning. You know, Divine says, normal people come to gardens to relax. Normal people don't have enemies. Normal people don't bring a security detail to see flowers. Yi-jun's jaw tightens. Normal people's wives don't die in brake failures. Divine stops walking. I used to work here. Did I tell you that? Yi-jun stops scanning, looks at her. When? 5 years ago. Cleaned the visitor center, the event spaces. I know every service entrance, every closet, every path. She smiles. I probably know this place better than your security team. Why did you leave? Better pay at the glass house. But I loved it here. It was the only place in the city that felt like breathing. That's when Yi-jun's phone buzzes. He glances at it. His face changes, hardens. One of the bodyguards, the lead, a man named Min-jun, approaches quickly, whispers something. Yi-jun's hand moves to Subin's stroller. We're leaving, he says quietly. Divine's instincts flare. What's wrong? Now. But they're already too late. They appear from the paths, from behind the trees, from the crowd of tourists that suddenly isn't a crowd anymore. 6 men, expensive suits, dead eyes, forming a loose circle around them. Yi-jun's bodyguards move immediately, creating a protective formation. Hands inside jackets, every muscle coiled. And then he walks through the circle. Dae-ho-jung, late 30s, handsome in the way villains in movies are handsome, tailored suit, confident smile. But his eyes? They're the eyes of someone who's been waiting a long time for this moment. Yi-jun, he says, like they're old friends meeting for coffee. You've been avoiding my calls. Yi-jun's voice is ice. I have nothing to say to you, Dae-ho. Nothing? Dae-ho's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Not even after all these years? After everything we built together? Divine sees it immediately. The history between them. Not just rivals. Something deeper. Something personal. Dae-ho's eyes slide to Divine and Subin. And this must be the famous cleaner. The one who can quiet your daughter's storms. Ji-hai would be so proud that you replaced her so quickly. Yi-jun's hand moves. Min-jun grabs his arm, because drawing a weapon here, surrounded, with his daughter present, that's what Dae-ho wants. Divine steps forward. Casual. Like she's not standing in a circle of killers. You must be the man operating out of Aurora. The one who wants the West Loop developments. Dae-ho raises an eyebrow. The cleaner knows about real estate. How? Modern. The cleaner knows a lot of things. Like how you and Yi-jun grew up together. Came to Chicago together. Built the North Shore operations together. Until something went wrong. Dae-ho's smile tightens. She's smart, Yi-jun. Smarter than Ji-hai was. But just as temporary, I imagine. Yi-jun moves. Min-jun barely holds him back. Divine keeps talking, smooth, keeping Daeho's attention. Let me guess. You felt betrayed. He made decisions without you, took control of territories you thought you'd earned, and now you want what you think is yours. Daeho laughs. I don't think it's mine. I know it is. Yi-jun took everything we built and claimed it as his empire, made me the villain for wanting what we bled for together. So you killed his wife. The garden goes silent. Even the birds seem to stop singing. Daeho's smile finally drops. Careful, cleaner. Accusations like that have consequences. So do break failures. Divine's voice is steady, fearless, especially when they happen to someone driving a car that was serviced 3 days before, someone who never took that route home, someone whose death benefits the one man trying to pressure her husband into selling his developments. Daeho steps closer. His men tighten the circle. You should teach your cleaner when to stay silent, Yi-jun, for her own safety. Divine's hand is on the stroller handle, casual, ready. Here's what's going to happen, Daeho says. You're going to sign over the West Loop properties, all of them. And in return, I'll make sure your daughter grows up with both parents. Well, one parent. But that's better than none, isn't it? Yi-jun's voice is lethal. Touch my daughter and what? You'll kill me here? In front of all these witnesses? With your daughter watching? Daeho spreads his hands. You've gotten soft, old friend. That's what love does. It makes you weak. More men appear. 8 now. 10. Daeho came prepared. Yi-jun's 4 bodyguards are good, but they're outnumbered. And Su-bin is starting to cry, sensing the tension. This is the moment. The trap. Daeho's not here to negotiate. He's here to prove a point. Yi-jun's hand moves toward his jacket, and Divine moves faster. She grabs the stroller and runs. Not toward the parking lot, not toward the exits, toward the visitor center, down a path that cuts between the English Garden and the Heritage Garden, a path most tourists don't know exists. Yi-jun shouts her name. His security moves to follow. Daeho's men are faster. But Divine knows something they don't. She knows every inch of these gardens. She cuts left at the fountain, through a maintenance gate that's supposed to be locked but never is, down a service path, past the greenhouses. The footsteps behind her are getting closer, but she's not running blind. She's running with purpose. The old visitor center storage building, scheduled for renovation, currently empty. Divine shoulder checks the door it gives and she's inside with Su-bin. Dark. Smells like fertilizer and old wood. She moves by memory, past shelves of supplies, past the old break room, to the mechanical closet in the back corner. She puts Su-bin inside, wrapped in her jacket. The baby is crying now, terrified. Shh, baby girl. Shh. Divine starts that rhythmic hum. Even now, even terrified. Mama's here. Mama's got you. Su-bin quiets. Not silent, but quieter. Divine closes the closet door most of the way, leaves it cracked for air. And then she walks back out. 3 of Daeho's men are coming down the service path. They see her emerge, alone. Where's the baby? One demands. Divine raises her hands. Empty. Gone. You're too late. You're lying. Am I? Divine backs away from the building, leading them away. Maybe I handed her off. Maybe I dropped her with security. Maybe she's already back in her father's arms. The men exchange glances. One speaks into a radio. In Korean. Fast. Divine keeps backing up, toward the main path, toward the crowds, where witnesses are, where Yi-jun's security would be converging. You're coming with us, one of the men says, moving forward. I don't think so. Yi-jun's security arrives like a storm. Min-jun and 3 others, weapons drawn but not raised. Not yet, not with tourists nearby. But the threat is clear. Daeho's men stop, hands moving toward jackets. And then Yi-jun appears, walking through his security team. His face is beyond rage, beyond fear. It's something primal. He looks at Divine, scans her for injuries. Where is she? Safe. Where? Divine holds his eyes. I'll take you to her. But first, she looks at Daeho's men. They leave. One of Daeho's men laughs. You think you're giving orders? I think you've lost your leverage. No baby means no hostage. No hostage means this is just a garden full of witnesses watching you threaten a woman and child. How do you think that plays out? The man's radio crackles. Daeho's voice, distant. In Korean. The men lower their hands, back away, disappear into the gardens like ghosts. Yi-jun's hand wraps around Divine's arm. Not rough, but firm. Show me. She leads him back to the storage building, opens the mechanical closet. Subin is still there, still wrapped in Divine's jacket, fussing but safe. Yi-jun drops to his knees, scoops his daughter up, holds her so tight, his shoulders are shaking. Divine steps back, gives them space, but Yi-jun's voice cuts through the moment. What were you thinking? Divine blinks. I was thinking our daughter needed to be safe. You could have been killed. You ran toward them, not away. You put yourself... I put Subin in the one place I knew they couldn't follow. And I made myself the target so they'd chase me instead of searching for her. Yi-jun stands. Subin is against his chest, but his eyes are locked on Divine. You had no weapon, no training, no... I had knowledge. I had terrain. And I had the one thing your security doesn't have. I was willing to make myself bait. That's not bravery. That's what you do when you love someone. Divine's voice doesn't waver. You don't protect them by hiding. You protect them by making sure there's no one left to hide from. Yi-jun's jaw works. You could have died. But I didn't. And neither did Subin. Because I didn't freeze. I didn't wait for permission. I acted. Without thinking. I thought plenty. I thought about every exit, every blind spot, every advantage I had. What I didn't do was let fear make me useless. They stand there, in a dusty storage building that smells like fertilizer, while outside, Yi-jun's security is sweeping the gardens, and Daeho's message hangs in the air like poison. Finally, Yi-jun speaks. His voice is raw. When I couldn't find you when I saw you run. You thought you'd lose someone else. I know. Divine steps closer. But you didn't. Because I'm not Ji-hae. I'm not fragile. I'm not someone you have to protect from the world. I'm someone who can stand with you in it. Yi-jun looks at her. Really looks. And something shifts in his expression. The ice finally cracking completely. You called her our daughter. Divine freezes. I what? Before, you said our daughter needed to be safe. Not your daughter. Not Subin. You said our... Divine's throat tightens. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. Yi-jun adjusts Subin in his arms, steps closer to Divine. Daeho won't stop. You understand that, don't you? Today was a message. Next time will be an attack. I know. Then why would you stay? Why would you put yourself in this world? Divine looks at Subin, then at Yi-jun. Because this isn't just this world anymore. It's my world too. Whether I signed up for it or not. Whether it's safe or not. Subin is mine now. And... She pauses. So are you. Yi-jun's free hand comes up, cups Divine's face. His thumb traces her cheekbone. You're terrifying, he whispers. Good, she whispers back. You need terrifying. And for the first time since his wife died, Yi-jun Park leans forward and kisses someone. Not desperately, not possessively. But like he's found something he didn't know he was searching for. A partner. An equal. Someone who doesn't need protecting because she's too busy protecting everyone else. When they pull apart, Subin is smiling. Like she knows. Like she understands that her broken family is finally starting to heal. But outside the building, Yi-jun's phone is ringing. Daeho's move wasn't just about intimidation. It was about declaring war. The Lake Forest estate is on lockdown. After the Botanic Garden incident, Yi-jun's security has tripled. Guards at every entrance. Cameras monitoring every room. No one in, no one out. The house that was already a fortress has become a prison. But here's the thing about prisons. Sometimes the threat is already inside. It's been 3 days since Daeho's message. 3 days of Yi-jun making calls, moving assets, preparing for whatever comes next. 3 days of Divine watching the guards watch her, seeing the way they communicate, the way they move. And tonight, while she's putting Subin to sleep, she sees something that makes her blood run cold. Divine is in the kitchen. It's nearly midnight. She can't sleep, hasn't slept well since the gardens. She's making tea when she hears it. A voice. Low. Speaking Korean. Coming from the service hallway that leads to the guard station. She recognizes the voice. Sung-ho. Yi-jun's head of personal security. The man who's been with him for 8 years. The man who drives Subin to her pediatrician appointments. The man Yi-jun trusts with his life. Divine moves quietly, presses herself against the wall, listens. Her Korean is basic, picked up from working in Korean-owned restaurants, but she catches words. Names. Daeho, warehouse, Calumet Heights, Thursday night. And then, clear as glass. The woman is the problem. She sees too much. Divine's heart stops. Sung-ho isn't talking about Subin. He's talking about her. She moves, fast and silent, back into the kitchen, pours her tea like she's been there the whole time. When Sung-ho appears in the doorway, she doesn't even look up. Can't sleep? He asks in English. Perfectly pleasant. Subin had a nightmare. I'm waiting to make sure she stays down. Divine sips her tea. Casual. You? Perimeter check. At midnight? Mr. Park wants extra caution. Divine nods, meets his eyes, sees nothing but professionalism. But now she knows what's underneath. Well, don't let me keep you, she says. Sung-ho smiles. Leaves. Divine waits until his footsteps fade. Then she runs. Yi-jun's study is on the 3rd floor. Private, secure. He's at his desk, still in his shirt and slacks, going through documents. When Divine bursts in without knocking, he's on his feet instantly, hand moving toward the drawer where he keeps his weapon. It's Sung-ho. Yi-jun stops. What? Your head of security. He's the mole. I just heard him on the phone with Daeho. They're planning something Thursday night at a warehouse in Calumet Heights. And, her voice catches, he said I'm a problem. Yi-jun's face goes perfectly still. That dangerous calm that means he's already 3 moves ahead. You're certain? I heard him. He was speaking Korean, but I caught enough. He mentioned Daeho by name, the warehouse, Thursday, and me. Yi-jun walks to the window, looks out at the rain. His reflection in the glass is a stranger, cold, calculating, lethal. Sung-ho has been with me for 8 years. He was at my wedding. He held Subin the day she was born. His voice is empty. He was driving the car behind Ji-hae the night her brakes failed. The pieces fall into place. The convenient failure. The perfect timing. The man who was supposed to protect but was actually positioned to kill. Divine steps closer. What are you going to do? What I should have done 6 months ago. Yi-jun turns. I'm going to clean house. Yi-jun makes 3 calls. Brief. In Korean. To people Divine has never met. When he hangs up, his expression is arctic. Thursday night, Daeho expects Sung-ho to deliver me to that warehouse. An ambush. Controlled territory. No witnesses. The perfect kill. And I'm going to give him exactly what he wants. Except Yi-jun's smile is blade sharp. I'll be the one setting the trap. The next 2 days are a performance. Yi-jun acts normal. Trusts Sung-ho. Follows his security recommendations. Plans a supply run to a warehouse property in Calumet Heights for Thursday evening routine inspection. Nothing suspicious. Sung-ho doesn't know that Yi-jun has been making other calls, bringing in people from outside his compromised security team, people who owe him favors, people Daeho doesn't know exist. And Divine? She's invisible again. Just the woman caring for the baby. Just the cleaner who got lucky. No one pays attention to her as she watches, listens, and passes information to Yi-jun in moments stolen between feedings and nap times. They don't speak about the kiss. There's no time, but every time their eyes meet, there's an understanding. They're in this together now. Thursday night arrives like a reckoning. The Calumet Heights warehouse sits in the industrial district, surrounded by abandoned factories and empty lots, the kind of place where screams don't carry and bodies disappear. Yi-jun arrives in his usual car, Sung-ho driving. 2 other guards in a second vehicle, everything according to plan, Daeho's plan. They park. The warehouse is dark. Yi-jun steps out. Sung-ho opens the door for him, professional as always. Seems quiet tonight, Yi-jun says. Yes, sir. Too quiet, don't you think? Sung-ho's hand moves toward his jacket, subtle. Sir? I mean, if someone were planning an ambush, this would be the perfect place for it. Lights snap on. Daeho's men emerge from the shadows, 10 of them, armed, surrounding the cars. Sung-ho's weapon is out, pointed at Yi-jun's head. I'm sorry, Sung-ho says, and he almost sounds like he means it, but you made it impossible to stay loyal. Yi-jun doesn't move. How much did he pay you? Enough. And he promised me safety for my family. You promised me nothing but war. Daeho steps out from the warehouse entrance. clapping slowly. Beautiful, Sung-ho. 8 years of patience. 8 years of watching, waiting for the perfect moment. Ji-hae, Yi-jun says quietly. That was you. Dae-ho stops clapping. That was business. She wouldn't convince you to sell, so she became leverage. Then she became unnecessary. Yi-jun's other 2 guards, the ones from the second car, are already down, disarmed, on their knees. This is it. The moment Dae-ho has been planning. The moment he takes everything. You know what I've learned, old friend? Dae-ho walks closer. You were always the better strategist, better planner, better leader. But you have one fatal weakness. And what's that? You love too much. Ji-hae made you weak. And now this cleaner, this divine, she's made you weaker still. Love is a liability in our world. Yi-jun smiles. Actually smiles. You're right. Love is a liability. Dae-ho pauses. What? That's why I didn't bring love tonight. I brought business. They pour in from every direction. Not Yi-jun's regular security. Not his compromised team. These are different men. Federal agents. Chicago PD Organized Crime Unit. And leading them a federal prosecutor who's been building a case against Dae-ho for 2 years. Sung-ho's gun wavers. Dae-ho's men are surrounded, outgunned, trapped. You see, Yi-jun says calmly as agents swarm around them, I knew about Sung-ho 3 days ago. I knew about this trap. And I decided that instead of blood, I'd use something more permanent. Law. Dae-ho's face twists. You brought the feds? You violated. I violated nothing. You killed my wife. You threatened my daughter. You corrupted my organization. So I gave the prosecutors everything. Every transaction. Every property. Every piece of evidence they needed to bury you in federal charges for the next 30 years. Sung-ho is on his knees. You knew. This whole time. Divine heard you. 3 nights ago. And instead of killing you, which is what you deserve, I decided to let you live with what you've done. In a federal prison. Watching Dae-ho rot in the cell next to yours. As Dae-ho is led away in handcuffs, he looks back. This doesn't end, Yi-jun. There will always be someone. Maybe. But it won't be you, and that's enough for tonight. The drive back to Lake Forest is silent. Yi-jun sits in the back of a new car, driven by a new guard, one he's vetted personally. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from relief. From the weight of 6 months of rage finally settling. When they pull up to the estate, Divine is waiting on the front steps. Soo-bin, asleep in her arms. Yi-jun steps out of the car, walks to them, doesn't say a word, just wraps his arms around both of them and holds on like they're the only real things in the world. It's done, he whispers into Divine's hair. I know. I've been watching the news. You should be inside. It's cold. We were waiting for you. Yi-jun pulls back, looks at Divine. You saved us. If you hadn't heard Sung-ho, if you hadn't told me, we saved each other. That's what partners do. Is that what we are? Partners? Divine shifts Soo-bin in her arms. The baby stirs, opens her eyes, sees her father, and smiles. I don't know. What are we? They go inside, and for the first time, the house feels different, warmer, less like a mausoleum and more like a home. Yi-jun has been making changes, slowly. Photos on the walls now, Ji-hae smiling on their wedding day, holding Soo-bin in the hospital, laughing at some forgotten joke. Not erased. Not hidden. Remembered. And next to those photos, new ones. Divine and Soo-bin at Millennium Park. Yi-jun and Divine in the kitchen, Soo-bin between them, a family forming in real time. The chandeliers still hang from the ceiling, but someone has replaced the cold white bulbs with warm amber ones. The frozen tears are gone. There's light here now. Real light. Yi-jun leads Divine to the living room. Soo-bin is fast asleep again, exhausted from waiting up. He takes the baby gently, lays her in her bassinet by the window. Then he turns to Divine. I need to ask you something. Okay. Your contract is up next month. Divine's heart clenches. I know. I'm not renewing it. Divine's throat tightens. I understand. With Dae-ho gone, Soo-bin is safer. You don't need... No. Yi-jun steps closer. You misunderstand. I'm not renewing your contract because I don't want you here as an employee. I don't want you here as Soo-bin's caretaker. I don't want you here because I'm paying you. He reaches for her hands. I want you here because you're home. Because Subin calls for you in the night. Because I can't imagine this house without your voice in it. Because somewhere between that restaurant and tonight, you stopped being the woman I hired and became the woman I can't live without. Divine's eyes are shining. Yi-jun, stay. Not as my employee, as my equal, as my partner, as Subin's mother if you'll have us. Both of us. All of us. What are you asking? I'm asking if you'll build something with me. Not an empire, not a fortress, a family, a real one. Messy and complicated and probably dangerous, but ours. Divine looks at Subin, sleeping peacefully. Then back at Yi-jun, this man who was ice 6 weeks ago and is warmth now. This man who learned to live instead of just survive. I still want to keep my apartment in Bronzeville. Yi-jun almost laughs. Of course you do. And I'm not giving up who I am. I'm not becoming some trophy. I don't want a trophy. I want you. Exactly as you are. Divine steps into his space. Then yes, I'll stay. I'll build this family with you. I'll be Subin's mother and your partner and your equal. But I'm keeping my own name. I wouldn't have it any other way. They kiss like they have all the time in the world. Because they do. The war is over. The house is clean. The future is unwritten. And Subin sleeps on, dreaming of whatever babies dream of. Maybe of the mother she lost and the mother she found. Maybe of a father who learned to hold her without fear. Maybe of a family that was broken and glued itself back together with love and stubbornness and the courage to heal. 6 weeks later, Montrose Beach at sunrise. The lake stretches out gray and gold, Chicago's skyline catching the first light of morning. Divine walks along the shoreline, Subin strapped to her chest in a carrier. The baby is 10 months old now. Laughing more, crying less. Growing strong in the way children do when they're loved without condition. Yi-jun walks beside them. No bodyguards today, no security detail, just a man taking his family to the beach, just a father showing his daughter the world. She likes it here, Divine says, watching Subin grab at the wind. She likes anywhere you are. Anywhere we are. Yi-jun takes Divine's hand. I've been thinking about something. Dangerous habit. He smiles. I want to step back. From the business. Not out, I'm not naive. But back. Let others run the day-to-day. I want more mornings like this. Can you do that? Just step back? I can do anything. You taught me that. You taught me that power isn't about control. It's about knowing when to let go. They stop walking. Stand at the edge where the waves kiss the sand. Subin babbles, reaching for the water. I used to think my life was small, Divine says quietly. Cleaning floors. Invisible. Going home to an empty apartment. I thought that was all I'd ever be. And now, she looks at Yi-jun. Then at Subin. Then at the sunrise, painting the lake in impossible colors. Now I know that small and invisible were just the beginning. That sometimes the person who sees everything is the one no one's watching. That sometimes love doesn't announce itself, it just shows up in a restaurant and refuses to leave until everyone's safe. Yi-jun kisses her temple. You were never invisible. I see you. Subin sees you. And now, the whole world sees you. I don't need the whole world. I just need this. And there they stand. The Mafia boss who learned to love more than he fears. The cleaner who became the heart of an empire. And the baby who needed a mother and got 2 parents instead. The sun rises higher. Chicago wakes up behind him. Somewhere in the city, life goes on, deals are made, power shifts, empires rise and fall. But here, on this beach, at this moment, there's just a family. Imperfect, complicated, built from broken pieces, but whole. Divine adjusts Subin in the carrier. We should get her home. Breakfast time. Home, Yi-jun repeats, testing the word, finding it fits. They turn from the lake, walk back toward the car, toward the house that isn't a fortress anymore, toward a life that isn't about survival anymore, toward whatever comes next. Together, the cleaner who sees everything, the boss who learned to feel, and the daughter who brought them together. This is not a fairy tale. There's no happily ever after in their world. There are just mornings like this, choices to love instead of hide, courage to build instead of destroy. And sometimes, that's enough.